guitar's got that swing. Glasses clink, hear the ice cubes sing. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. There's Troy laughing with his gin and a grin, telling stories about where he's been. Boomer's got whiskey, he's loosening his tie, chasing dreams under a midday sky. The bartender knows us, he's mixing with flair. Every sip's a moment we're happy to share. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. The clock don't matter, we're lost in the vibe. Jazz in the air, feel the soul come alive. From martinis to bourbon, we're riding the wave. Stealing this hour, it's the freedom we crave. Sun's still shining, but we're in our zone. This bar's our shelter, our temporary home. One more round before the world calls us back. Savor the moment, keep the blues in the rack. We'll laugh and we'll toast till the afternoon fades. Memories made in these liquid escapades. Liquid lunch, pour it smooth, let it flow. Friends round the table where the good times grow. Raise a glass, let the worries slip away. Liquid lunch, we're living for today. So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun. Our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. Chasing that jazz under the high noon.
Salute and welcome. So glad that you could be here to help me usher in the weekend. I've been so looking forward to it, I gotta tell you. So, of course, today is Friday, and you know what that means.
What you sipping on?
Well, you guys know that have been watching me this week. You guys know where this is going.
Release the Kraken.
Release the Kraken! The Kraken!
Why is the rum always gone?
And answer that. Apparently, Rosefire is baking a Bacardi cake, and whatever was left over, Troy drank. But absolutely. So I have 2 days in a row, I have a very special guest. So let me get her in here right now. Netter of Netter's Network, how you doing, my dear? And what are you sipping on?
I'm doing really well. I'm currently sipping on a bottle of water that I added berry flavoring to.
There you go. Fair enough. And she starts out the chat by saying hello to the love of her life. That is me. Thank you, sweetheart. I love you too. And she also says, like, share, subscribe, and become a member. Yes, please. If your name isn't all green, then maybe think about becoming a member. As little as $2 a month. You know, less than you oftentimes would spend on a super chat. Hail Connie Cleary, the bird woman of YouTube, and Mark Melnikoff. Mark Po, the rum is gone because Troy drank it all. That's what I said. Absolutely.
Okay, my sweeties. There are 13 watching and only 4 thumbs. Can you show the love, please?
Yeah, I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. She's such a cheerleader for me. I so appreciate her.
Because I love you.
I love you too. ussarn G, happy Friday to you, my friend. Good to see you. Good to see you. As well as Jonathan Conroy, who says, "Hail all, smash that like button. Enjoy the show. Super appreciate it. I would love to hear more about this Bacardi cake, Rosefire. It sounds delicious. It really, really does." And there she is, Lynn Green. She just made it. I am so glad you did. Always good to have you. Let's see. So Rosefire is just checking in, just feeling a bit tired from not so much sleep. Thank goodness friends and family are doing okay. I am glad to hear that. Sometimes naps work. Sometimes just taking it easy. Don't know, but I hope all is well with you. Gorilla's Random Thoughts. Habla. Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. So glad to have all of these friends here to usher in the weekend. Why is the rum always gone? Hail! Welcome, Joe's Atmosphere. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for that. $1.99 super chat. I super appreciate it. So Mark is having bagels, cream cheese, and salmon for breakfast. And, of course, an assortment of pickled veggies. Wonderful, wonderful. And let's see. Oh, there's my buddy Big Al of Big Al Presents, who says, "Hello, my friends. So this is about Rum Tum Tugger? He's a curious cat." Rum is gone because it fuels Musk's new SpaceX Starship. Well, that's all the more reason to go to Mars, I suppose. Is there life on Mars? I don't know. But as long as there's rum, I'll be happy. Let's see. So here we go. Let's go ahead and get into it. On Fridays, I like to talk about what I will be sipping on as we go into the weekend, what I'll be drinking tonight on Last Call. And as I was saying the other night, I realized that since I started Liquid Lunch, I have not released the Kraken. So I figured it was about time to do that. I got to work late. Can't stay. Have fun, everybody. Thank you so much for the $2 super chat there, Nate. That's perfectly fine. You can always catch us on the replay. Today's stream, obviously, I'm going to be talking about rum. Get a little bit into the history of rum. And, I guess I'm just announcing the fact that I like rum.
And, of course, my favorite rum.
What is your favorite rum, Netter?
Malibu.
You
rum.
like Malibu coconut. Absolutely. Yep. We have found that she's not big on Bacardi. Mm-hmm. And she does like coconut rums because she finds them to be very good mixers.
Yes.
Once you get there, there will be life on Mars. That's absolutely true. You're right. And as the movie kind of made us all realize, whoever makes it to Mars, and if they decide to reside there permanently, they will be Martians, right?
Well, don't they have to, go through all the channels to get legal citizenship?
Yes. Use yellow cake, pudding mix, eggs, rum, oil, and nuts, plus a rum glaze on top. Ooh, that sounds
okay, how much
really,
rum?
really
Because if I'm making this, I need to know...
she said you can find probably on the Bacardi site, I would bet, if it's a Bacardi specific.
And we have Bacardi, don't we?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. So, Joe's Atmosphere says our wives have the same taste. Foxy loves Malibu as well. There you go. There you go.
Oh, it's smooth. It's not a harsh rum.
Red rum. Yeah, that's going a different route with it, Mark. But let's. I'm going to pull up this article here. I don't know if you call it an article, but it's a web page from the tumultuous. It's called the Tumultuous Economy Building History of Rum from the Crafty Cask. And for some reason, they decided they wanted to make this page incredibly tiny, so us old folks can't see it. Let me see what I can do to zoom in, if anything. It doesn't want to zoom. Well, I'll just have to do the best I can.
Do control and then move your mouse up or down. No?
Not working. Let me see if I... Nope. It does not zoom at all. Nope. Nothing I can do. Yeah. I chose poorly because this is way too small for me to read.
Do you want my magnifier?
That's not going to work. You know what? It's more than one way to read a web page.
True. And if you're going to do what I think you're going to do, that's clever.
File. I'm just going to drop the damn thing into a Word document.
That's what I thought you were going to do.
For fuck's sake. All right. Makes it way longer than it needs to be because of all the pictures, but there we go. Brief history of rum. Facts and origins of rum. Story behind a spirit is often the most fascinating part of drinking. Not only do you get to sip a delicious beverage, but you are able to be transported through history to learn about the culture of a people and sometimes even an era. At times, it's an uplifting, fun story. Other times, there's a darkness to it. Perhaps it's not a coincidence that one of the most famed rum cocktails is called the Dark and Stormy. Rum's history isn't an easy or pretty one, but it's an important one. It's an important part of the world's history. Without rum, I'm not sure how New England would have turned out. What their primary export trade currency would have been to really kickstart their success in the New World. But I'm really getting ahead of myself here. Let's take it from the start. Sugarcane was first cultivated in New Guinea and first fermented as early as about 350 BC in India. Back then, however, these fermented drinks were primarily used medicinally and with purpose. Fast forward to about the 1400s, where the explorers we all learned about in grade school started opening up the trade routes through their explorations. As remote islands began to be discovered, so was a perfect climate for growing sugar. Similar to spices of that time, were highly valued on the trade route. Yet it required incredible manpower and water. Islands have plenty of access to water. Manpower, though, not so much. By this time, slaves were an obvious and unfortunately easy choice. Explorers began to increase sugarcane production on islands such as the Azores, Canary Islands, and eventually the Caribbean. Caribbean? I guess it depends on how you like to pronounce it. How do they say? Pirates of the Caribbean? I think we'll say Caribbean. In order to do that, they also needed to bring in more slaves. While the African slavers accepted many forms of payment to supply slaves to European colonists, the most highly sought after payment was alcohol. And while beer, wine, and mead were easily made in certain regions of the world, they didn't fare well on long ocean voyages. Nor were they very strong. Brandy was one of the early spirits to step up and fill the need for lower volume with a higher punch, but As the trade routes allowed for increased supply of sugar, a new spirit became a fast favorite of slave traders, slaves, and explorers alike. The discovery of Barbados in the early 1600s was an important gate to rum's soon-to-be global popularity. Given the perfect climate of Barbados, explorer Richard Legon brought in sugarcane expertise from Brazil, including equipment, slaves, and most importantly, distillation know-how. In less than 10 years, the sugar barons of Barbados became some of the richest in the world, with a prospering sugar and rum export industry. Rumor has it this spirit was initially known as Kill Devil, and its strong effects with a less than desirable taste. While the poor drank it straight, others began mixing it with sugar, lime, and other ingredients to make early rum punches and cocktails. As time went on, there are indications of the spirit also being referred to as Rumbulian and Rumbustion. Both of these terms meant upheaval or violent commotion, likely for the effect that the spirit had on those who drank it. Eventually shortened to rum, we have our modern name for the spirited drink. Around this time in the mid-1600s, there were roughly 3,000 colonists living in New England. When they first settled roughly 20 years earlier, there were dreams of a Mediterranean bounty coming from this new world. Little did they understand the harsh climate of New England, not exactly suitable for the wines, grains, fruits, and valuable silks and gems they were hoping for. It was a tough revelation, and to make matters worse, there was also a beer shortage in England, meaning New Englanders weren't getting as much beer imported as they hoped to help soothe their disappointments. We're starting to get restless people. They started to try to make alcohol from anything that grew there. Pumpkins, apples, twigs, you name it. Some of it was somewhat successful, but nothing scratched the itch for the drink the way the introduction of rum from Barbados and other Caribbean islands did. Yay, rum. You see, rum was much cheaper than the little bit of brandy they were importing due to the shorter trade routes, cheaper ingredients base of molasses outside of wartime, and it had relatively low demand compared to the supply available. Plus, rum was quite a bit stronger. Cheaper and stronger, rum quickly became the drink of choice in New England, warming the colonists from the inside during the cold winters and lessening their reliance on European imports. Soon enough, those clever New Englanders got the idea to import molasses as byproduct of the sugar-making process from the islands instead of rum and start distilling it themselves. This is now the late 1600s, in towns like Salem, Newport, Boston, and Medford became rum distillation epicenters with over 100 distilleries by the mid-1700s. Yum. As New Englanders preferred their craft of rum distillation, making it some of the most affordable alcohol on the market, they began to seek more sales outlets. Enter again the slave traders, who now had an unquenchable thirst for the spirit. Some distilleries in New England were even known to make higher alcohol versions of rum specifically for the slave trade. By this point, rum accounted for 80% of New England's exports. 80%. And it also solidified a slave-dependent economic system. The more slave traders and slaves who wanted rum, the more sugar production was needed in order to produce the molasses. The more sugar you need, the more slaves you need to produce the sugar on the islands. More slaves means more demand for rum from both the slaves and the slavers You see where this is going. Okay. Given the importance of rum in the new economy, it's no wonder New England freaked out when England tried to impose an import tax on molasses from French colonized islands, New England's primary source of molasses. This eventually led to the Sugar Act of 1764, where a tax was levied on molasses. Thus began the early rumblings of no taxation without representation. Folks, the entire American Revolution, and thus the existence of this country, is predicated on booze, which grew stronger with subsequent tax schemes on other goods throughout the colonies from England. Yup, we're getting mighty close to the Boston Tea Party, folks. Yeah. The tea was just the straw that broke the camel's back. It was basically the sugar cane, the molasses, the rum being taxed that really upset everybody. It was like, oh, and then tea too? That's it. We're done. You can't drink. You can't be a teetotaler. We're coming for you, Kingy. Not surprisingly, once fighting began, rum was again one of the most sought-after commodities. One general writing to General Washington in 1780 was quoted as saying, "Besides beef and pork, bread and flour, rum is too material an article to be omitted. No exertions out to be spared to provide ample quantities of it." So, where do we go from here? The British surrendered in 1781, and our country desperately seeks stabilization. Rum continues to be the drink of choice along the coast, but the supply of molasses was pretty disrupted during the war. Meanwhile, more settlers are arriving on our shores and moving inwards where there is more wide open land and untouched resources. Many of these immigrants were from Ireland and Scotland. There's new immigrants that didn't have experience with molasses distillation, but did have plenty of experience with grain distillation. You know what grows real well in Middle America? Grains. So whiskey and other grain-based spirits became more common, and the height of rum's popularity begins a slow decline as the new kid in town became all the rage. By the way, the article doesn't mention this, but remember that chap Johnny Appleseed? And he took a whole bunch of apple seeds and he moved from the East Coast all the way into the new territory, planting apple trees everywhere he went. Yeah, it wasn't just because everyone loved apple pie. It was to make Applejack. We'll talk about that another time.
They made the cereal?
Yes. So let's get to the present day. And so the real second chance worthy of the amazing economy building, revolution spurring spirit, rum's history is certainly tainted with an awful part of our own global history, but the integrity and persistence of those early distillers is not to be lost. As John Adams himself said in a letter to a friend, "I know not why we should blush to confess that molasses was the essential ingredient in American independence. Many great events have proceeded from much smaller causes." Craft distillers across the country, particularly in New England, have taken up the cause of bringing rum back to the forefront of American spirits, and they're doing it beautifully and deliciously. And at this point, the article, of course, goes into, our supporters and, buy their rum. But this is not a paid spot, so I won't be going into that. And I would rather talk about the kinds of rum that I enjoy. So, the question probably, you have heard from Netter. She talked about why she likes Malibu over Bacardi. That's perfectly fair. I think the distillation process can leave some rums a little bit harsher, some a little bit smoother. But speaking of smooth, well, actually, I'm not that smooth. So I'm going to go into my weekly promos real quick before I get into my little bit of a opinion piece, and I'll catch you in 2 minutes and 20 seconds.
You are watching Liquid Lunch, streaming every weekday at noon Central, 1 p.m. Eastern. Let's sip together.
This week on Saturday Night at the Movies, Netters Network presents the 1990 Godfather parody, The Freshman. Netters Network Retro Cinema. Saturday at 9 Central, 10 Eastern on Netters Network.
Every Sunday evening, Aged Boomer and Papa Pacelli bring you the rundown of the week's geek news, or at least what they think is interesting. You may have heard about it somewhere else, but Boomer and Pacelli put a spin on it you likely won't hear anywhere else. It's Geeky Geezers, every Sunday evening at 8 Central, 9 Eastern.
This week on Live from Sparkwood and 21, we'll be taking a deep dive into the dark depths of the unfathomable David Lynch film Mulholland Drive. Join us this Tuesday at 7:30 Central, 8:30 Eastern on Deleted Scenes and Affiliates.
An uprising hits Earth, and Servalan finds herself a prisoner in her new presidential palace. Meanwhile, Avon's hot on the scent of Bartholomew, the Federation agent who murdered his beloved Anna Grant. It's Rumors of Death, this Tuesday on Last Call Presents, Blake 7 at 10 p.m. Central, 11 Eastern.
We now return to our liquid lunch.
That you were sharing. Rosefire is talking a little bit more about that cake recipe. When you bake the cake, all the rum in the batter has the alcohol content burn out of it, but you may get tipsy if you lick the bowl or drink the frosting, which, who knows, I probably would. My friend makes rum cake, and you can get drunk smelling it, so I think you can use as much as you want. And now Rosefire is craving a pina colada. It's summertime. It is absolutely getting to be that time. So yeah, a little coconut rum and some pineapple juice and little parasol on top. Let's see. The most spike cake recipes call for a 1/2 to 3/4 cup of alcohol. Your friend may be using more of it, or just a stronger version of it. If you can smell it. Well, and then the other thing too is usually a cake like this, you'll just make the cake per the recipe, and that's it. And then you polish off the cake, and it's done. Or like the fruit cakes that we make every year. You continue to base them in brandy, and they are literally a pickled bread, so to speak, and they will last indefinitely. But you got to keep basting them. And Joe's Atmosphere is over on the Green Machine. Says, "What's up, Rumblers? Welcome, welcome." This is the downside, I think, to multi-stream platforming. Is if Joe's Atmosphere is the only one over there on the Green Machine, he's not seeing all the comments. But that's okay, because you will see them as I bring them up on screen, of course. And touching base on all three of their broadcasts before I get ready for mine at 1 p.m. There we go. So that's if you already have that stream set up, I will make sure that everybody gets sent over there. Let me look for Joe's Atmosphere. Yeah, they don't make it easy to find. You know what, Joe? If you want to drop the link, I will go ahead and make that my forward for today. Yeah, I figured if you weren't Big Al and Netter, definitely would be molasses to rum to slaves. Yeah. So grog, no. Grog is what you do when you've drunk so much of the rum from your parents' liquor cabinet and you don't want them to know, so you pour some water into it to make it look like more. That's basically what grog is. Grog is watered down rum. Grog sounds like a support character or henchman in a superhero story. There you go. Lunchtime, run! There you go, Curtis. Welcome, by the way. I thought hard cider was a medieval creation. I'm sure it was. But once it's invented, well, let's put it this way. The distillation process, and fermentation. Those are the two technologies, right? Fermentation probably came first. People realized that their fruit juice had gone off, and we just made wine. And well, if we could do that with grapes, what else can we do that with? Can we do that with grains? Can we do that with potatoes? Can we do that with yes, you can. And you got all kinds of different drinks. And then they started distilling them to make spirits by going, with a little bit of alchemy, we could boil and we could reprecipitate and get a purer and purer alcohol. And whoo. Yeah, I suspect that that technology may have played a hand in Greek fire as well. If this is a quote from something, I have no idea what, but it's brilliant. All right, go reset the computers and get me coffee. Minion, Grok, Grunch, whatever your name is. We've got a world to conquer. Absolutely. I love that. Finishing up a couple of projects before my cousin's wedding tomorrow. Oh, congratulations. Well, congratulations to your cousin. I watched an Unexplained with host William Shatner episode that was all about pirates. Arr. And The Kalman Show. I promise I didn't take the rum. I don't drink, but I do like weed. There you go. Oh, and coffee. There you go. How do you take your coffee? Black as midnight on a moonless night? No, my diabolical plans have been foiled. Rule number 1, don't tax the booze. Rule number 2, don't mess with our ships. I would put in a rule 1B after don't tax our booze. 1B is don't tax us. Period. Let's see here. Joe's Atmosphere says, you guys have a great celebration and don't imbibe too much rum. There's no such thing as too much rum. Don't want it to turn into a mosh pit for the banquet. There you go. We bear some resemblance to zombies. They are all about brains. We are all about grains. Absolutely. Too late. We've turned the mosh pit into a disco hall. Disco Inferno. And Real Wade Nation Gaming Clips is drinking a Dr. Pepper, which pairs very well with Kraken rum.
It does.
Just bringing that one up. That might be my mixer tonight. Might be Dr. Pepper, actually. And let's see what else we got here. So, Aged Boomer was at Lollapalooza in 1992. That was the year Netter and I got married. My sister kept me away from the mosh pit. Aw, that's too bad. That's too bad. So it's thanks to your sister that you're here to have created fabulous YouTube chats and panels. Obviously. Oh, that's very kind of you to say. Real Wade Nation Gaming Clip says, we are awesome. You are wonderful, too. I had some work to do outside today, but we're caught in the rain. So you like pina coladas and getting caught in the rain. Wanted a pickled bread, basted and pickled bread. Yeah, I can see why people would prefer to call it fruitcake. Basted? He's been marinated in it. I actually don't know that one, but I do like the reference. Yes, I know. I still have it, and I'm still basting it. Can you imagine? By the time you get it, you'll be able to light it on fire, and it will burn like a Duraflame log. I swear. Oh, got to get set up for my show. I'll be lurking while working. Hail the Power Couple Pacellis. There you go. There you go, my friend. And there's CK, the longest running superhero RPG. Having audio problems, but saw you were on. I figured I'd watch along for the views, if nothing else. If you're having trouble seeing and hearing us, maybe you can come back for a rewatch a little bit later. Yes, everything is well on this end. Hope you guys are doing well over there 2 states over. According to my Ars Magica RPG, grog is what you play when you aren't playing your Magus. Okay, fair enough. Hi to Matanui. Oh, and rule number 3 of not having America lay the smackdown on you, don't sucker punch us. Yeah, Japan learned that with a solid 1-2 punch at the end of that war, right? Well, my dog is in a food coma. She got into the dog food bag. Well, you know what you should do then? Maybe she'll learn if you don't feed her for a couple days. Say, you know what? You already got it. Too bad. All gone. Learn to moderate, girl. Let's see. Oh, it's from the Aristocats. Oh, I haven't seen that one in a long time. The cats meet Uncle Waldo, a goose who got out of Le Petit Cafe before becoming lunch, but not before getting marinated in white wine. See, yeah, I always thought, I remember the scene you're talking about now. That was, I always thought it was weird that they would marinate a live bird. You usually butcher the bird, then you marinate it, then you cook it, but whatever. Being British, I prefer sherry. That's always wonderful, too. Yeah, the quote that Netter and I often quote is the one from Star Trek First Contact, where Deanna Troi has been having drinks with Zephram Cocker, and she is completely blotto. And Riker says, "You're drunk." And she says, "It's a primitive culture. I'm trying to blend in." He goes, "Oh, you've blended all right." And in fact, that brings up a little bit of booze history again. The whole Zephram Cochrane inventing the warp drive started out with him first building a still. He created a moonshine still to make moonshine, right? To make alcohol, and it was from those parts that he began tinkering, and eventually he ended up with a warp drive. I figure, that must have been some pretty good hooch to get them going, at warp speed. Just saying. But great movie, great inspiration. Around February every year in Star Trek Online, they do a reenactment of the building of the Phoenix, the first warp ship. So you go to Bozeman, Montana, and you go around looking for parts to build your own model ship to shoot off, and it's very clear that the devs knew what they were doing, because all the piles of junk you're going through are little bits of a still. You've got like copper wire tubes and spirals and whatnot, and copper bowls, and they knew what they were doing. I had to check if I had the Aristocrats in my Disney collection. I have most of the animated movies, but I keep finding ones I've missed. Yeah, there are a lot. There are a lot of forgotten Disney gems. Ones that, for whatever reason, maybe they didn't do so well at the box office, and they made the rounds. For me, I saw a lot of them. Disney had this policy back in the 70s. They would send out the films, as they would send them to the movie theaters, they would send them to schools and libraries to show the films to kids. Maybe just to get kids interested in Disney, kind of, the next generation of pixie dusters, but also, just a nice thing to do so that they had, story time and, whatnot for the kids. I used to go on Saturday mornings. Sunday mornings, I would go to the local library, and they would have these kinds of movies. It was either, some of these lesser known Disney cartoons, or like the Peanuts and things like that. Some of the Dr. Seuss's as well. Rock Dodge, a favorite Klingon drink. It's coffee with liquor. Absolutely. In fact, I still have some Rock D'Agino from the Star Trek experience. Obviously, never going to drink it. That's just a keepsake kind of a thing. Edgar the Butler just isn't in the same league as Cruella de Vil. That is true. Some of the short ones like Mr. Toad and Sleepy Hollow are not in my collection. Yeah, those actually are harder to find because they're usually part of a bigger thing, and sometimes haven't been released. Frozen is the newest that you've bought. There you go. So how did I get started on Kraken rum? So I've had a number of different kinds of rums. But back when Netter and I'd say it was, it must have been around 2009, 2010, we started getting into the whole steampunk thing, and there was a group that we were getting together with up in Wisconsin. And yes, Song of the South is absent, but it is circulating out there. I have created my own Blu-ray of it. I've shared that with a couple of people that were interested, just for preservation's sake. It really should exist. We would go up to Wisconsin. Basically, it's how Netter and I learned how to sew and to make our own costumes. And we would go up to make some very, very elaborate dresses. All the all the women needed to make new dresses, and then we would help each other get ready, and then of course we would have to work on the queen's dress as well. And then we'd stay overnight because many of us were coming from Illinois, so it was a long trek. So we'd stay overnight, have breakfast in the morning, and go home. And but that night was a drinking night. It was absolutely a drinking night, and the host, his drink of choice was a drink called Malibu. It was a mixture of Mountain Dew and Malibu rum. And that's kind of how Netter kind of started drinking the Malibu. Or at least that was her primary exposure to it, which caused her to gravitate to it. But they all seem to also like a drink called Kraken. And I'm like, what is this Kraken? Oh, it's a dark rum. I said, oh, let me try that. And I tried it just straight. And I was like, oh, this is good. The impression that I got when I drank Malibu, or when I drank Kraken rum straight, was I thought of when I used to spend summers in Ohio at my uncle's marina. He had a lunch counter, and my grandmother used to make sandwiches and French fries and stuff like that. And they had the drink fountain, right? And back then, this was before you had boxes, right? You got these big tanks of the different syrups, and then you had the tanks of the carbonation. Well, the syrups were these real thick, and this goes back to how Coca-Cola and all the other soft drinks started. They all started as these thick, sugary syrups that you would mix with a seltzer or some other carbonated water of some kind to make your drink. Back then it was just pour, mix. There you go. Now we've got a machine that the two together. But anyway, if you were to ever try to taste like a little tablespoon of that syrup, it's just whoo. And that was what Kraken rum was like. It was like a cola syrup, but with a little bit of spice to it. You could definitely taste that molasses flavor to it, and I'm not sure what else was in there. And I was like, man, if you took this and gave it a little shot of carbonation, I'm not saying even water it down. Don't even mix it with water. Just carbonate this beverage. That would be, well, I think it would kill a lot of people. We'd just drink ourselves to death. But so usually what I'll do is I'll mix it with something like a Dr. Pepper, or root beer is probably the best thing to mix it with. Either way, it's just, it's heaven. It is absolutely heaven. Rosefire, sorry you gotta go. She said, gotta go. Thanks, everyone. I had fun schmoozing today. Wishing you a relaxing and enjoyable weekend. Yes, and we will definitely be carrying on this conversation tonight on Last Call with this guy right here, Aged Boomer, where we will be talking about, we're going to take a little time travel jaunt back to 1985 to look at the summer hits of 1985. One of which very likely will be the members' night at the movies this Monday. That's what I think. So, Big Al says, my colleague had soda dispenser issues, and we would get the syrup straight sometimes. Yep, that's a problem called a lack of brixing. What often happens is if you don't regularly check the ratios coming out, that process is called brixing. You're going to have very oddly tasting flavors. But what usually causes those ratios to go off once you have them set, those tubes tend to get dirty, especially the sugary ones that get all stopped up. So that's going to cause you some ick problems too. Just saying. But I have come to realize, when I go to a bar, you ask for whatever they have on tap and you taste it. You can taste if they keep their place clean or not. And if you're ever in a bar with me and I order a beer and I drink just the one, maybe you should stop too, because
unless it's in a bottle.
Yeah, I might switch to the bottle in that case. I very rarely drink beer though, so that might not be your best.
And you don't usually
indicator.
get on tap. You usually get a Guinness or something like that.
Yeah, I'm getting away from Guinness too though. Anyway, that is our show for tonight. For tonight, I just did it again. For today, but tonight, come back where I will probably already be well into the Kraken by the time we get started. So that's why I'm really going to be relying on Agent Boomer to be my designated driver tonight. Otherwise, I won't be able to get through it. So guys, you guys take care. Have a wonderful one. I thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you will be back this evening. But even if you're not, I hope you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Take care.
And stay here to be redirected.
Oh, right. Let me set that up before I kick you loose. Let me see if Joe's atmosphere is up and running yet. Joe, I did promise that I would send people over. Joe.
And if you haven't yet, please hit that thumbs up button and show the love.
Yeah, I'm not finding it. Help me out here. Let's
see if I can find it.
Joe's atmosphere. If I can't find it, I'm not going to be able to forward people. Nope. And he didn't drop the link, so I'm not forwarding you. Sorry, guys. I'm going to send you guys to Midnight's Edge. Go say hi for me, would you? Let them know I sent you. Guys, take care and have a great one.
Goodbye. Hope to see you again real soon.
So here's to the daylight, the drinks and the fun, our liquid lunch, till the next one comes. With a wink and a smile, we'll be back real soon. chasing that jazz under the highway.